If you believe the justice in this story was well deserved, hit that like button and share it with someone who needs this energy. Don't forget to subscribe for more gripping tales of revenge, justice, and resilience. Because here, every betrayal has its reckoning, and every lie meets its shadow. When I first met the parents of my bride, her mother splashed wine in my face for the first time and claimed that it was necessary to disinfect a poor guy because she spends $140,000 a month on it. I grinned and added, "I'm canceling all business with your company," after my wife laughed. The Glass of Arrogance, Chapter 1. The first insult practically came down on the waiter just as he had placed the wine glasses on the table. My face and clothing were sprayed with dark, pricey red wine. The restaurant became quiet for a while. Everyone's attention was drawn to my wife's mother, who was dressed nicely opposite from me. "That's to disinfect a poor guy," she added, sneering as she dropped her glass dramatically. "My daughter spends $140,000 a month. Do you think someone like you can keep up?" My eyes were hurt by the booze, but not as much as by what transpired next. Victoria, my wife, didn't jump to my defense, rebuke her mother, or scream in surprise. No, she laughed, but it wasn't the lady I had fallen in love with. It was a rich, empty laugh. She even went on to say, "Oh Mom, you're terrible," as though I were too stupid to comprehend this inner joke. Something inside of me exploded at that moment. I didn't scream or take offense. All I did was pick up my napkin, wipe my face, and grin a little. I then turned to face her father, Richard Carrington, who is the CEO of one of the biggest East Coast supply chain companies, and said in a cool, collected tone, "Mr. Carrington, I'm ending all contracts with Carrington Holdings with immediate effect." He blinked. "Pardon me?" "Your main distributor, Hayward Logistics, has me as its only managing director. You make fun of me for being impoverished, yet for the last 6 years, I have been directly in charge of managing the handling and shipping of your products. I'll be halting all shipments and reallocating our assets starting tomorrow." Victoria's drink suffocated her. I wasn't finished, but her father became pale. I carefully rose up, took out my phone, and quickly tapped a few buttons to send a termination order to our logistical staff and legal department. "Until you locate a new distributor, think of your supply chain as frozen and your warehouses as isolated. I wish you luck in locating someone who can do it at my pace, particularly during the holidays." I looked at Victoria, and for the first time in our marriage, I felt as though I didn't know her. I didn't pay attention to the warning signs, but I appreciate the clarity tonight. I walked out after buttoning my jacket and placing several cash on the table, not for them, but for the server. I didn't have to speak louder. I had already started my retaliation. The morning after, Chapter 2. My penthouse condo was like a beacon in the morning sunshine. My lack of sleep was not due to grief. No, I stayed the night with my legal team, and Victoria was unaware that every minute had been a strategic play on a chessboard. My phone was buzzing frantically on the kitchen counter at 7 a.m. Richard Carrington is the caller ID. I let it to ring, then a barrage of texts appeared. "Richard. Let's be sensible. Richard. Thousands of jobs are impacted. Richard. You should avoid taking things personally. Richard. We are able to provide you with an updated contract. Greater rates." I answered with a single sentence after taking a drink of my black coffee. When your wife called me poor and tossed wine in my face, this turned personal. The phone rang again 2 seconds later. It was Victoria this time. I replied, "What are you doing?" With a quivering voice, she demanded, "What made you laugh?" I inquired icily. Silence fell. "Then you made my family seem bad." "No, Victoria," I gently responded. "Your relatives made a fool of themselves, and you supported them. You made fun of the man who gave you the life you show off. She made an effort to act like the victim. It was only a joke. Mom is like that, you know. She is poisonous, but I thought you would do better. To create a future with you, I sacrificed everything. And in front of strangers, you mocked me in return. She paused. This is something we must discuss. Nothing else needs to be said. Your apartment contract expires next week, by the way. My name appears on the lease. I cancelled it this morning already. Her voice broke. Hold on, what? To assist you with packing, I'll send a moving company. Think of it as my last deed of generosity. Are you dismissing me? No, I smirked and replied. All I'm doing is granting you the autonomy you so obviously desired throughout supper. I ended the call. The story was revealed by the financial news that afternoon. As the stock declines and the contract is terminated, Carrington Holdings' supply chain stops overnight, leaving the CEO frantically looking for other options. Their business did not have a backup logistics source in place. Delays resulted in millions in losses, and the holiday season was just a few weeks away. As they rushed, I was already in private negotiations with Langford Global, Carrington's main rival, offering them first-rate services at a somewhat reduced price enough to destroy Carrington's shaky empire. And it was only the start. The collapse begins in Chapter 3. After the altercation, Carrington Holdings was in free fall 3 days later. Fearing they wouldn't be able to satisfy demand during the holidays, their largest retail clients started to cancel contracts. At this point, Richard's cost-cutting plan was losing millions of dollars every hour. Warehouses were bursting at the seams. Trucks sat still. Cancellations resulted from delays. In the meanwhile, a press statement was released by my new partners, Langford Global. Langford establishes a new strategic partnership to secure national logistics expansion. That meant something to the industry. I wasn't done, but Richard Carrington was. On Friday, the moving truck arrived at Victoria's opulent condo. When she went outside wearing a silk robe and high-end heels, she was appalled to see a throng gathering and movers packing her boxes marked property of Daniel Mercer. She sprinted in the direction of the driver. This is not possible. This is where I reside. He gave a clipboard to her. Your name isn't on the lease, ma'am. Everything must be cleared by noon. Someone had alerted the local tabloids, whose cameras started flashing. As serene as ever, she turned to see me across the street with my arms folded. She rushed over. Have you contacted the media? The number. However, I'm not shocked they showed up. You were worth $140,000 a month, after all, according to your mother. Unfortunately, you can't afford a hotel right now. Please, Mark. Her voice grew softer. We've experienced a lot. I furrowed my brow. Do you recall your dinner remarks? She hesitated. It was a joke. You chuckled. I interrupted her. And I was treated like garbage by your mother. You may now experience what that is like. I gave her a red envelope after that. She pulled it open. Airtight, unbreakable, and previously completed, it contained a notification of divorce, a waiver of spousal maintenance, and a description of prenuptial enforcement. I told you my lawyer will call you on Monday. One other thing, too. Never get in touch with me again. My future no longer includes you. The Financial Review published a headline that weekend that compared Daniel Mercer's week-long destruction of Carrington Holdings to a mocking. Online comments were ablaze with compliments. Hundreds of professionals who had been abused or humiliated before sought out. Some only wanted to express gratitude. Other people wanted to collaborate with me. Victoria? She became really quiet. Her mother was captured on camera attempting to enter the foyer of Carrington headquarters. She was turned away by security. In order to conduct an inquiry, Richard's board decided to suspend him. My silent retaliation had turned into a show. One final desperate play in Chapter 4. There was stillness for 3 weeks. Victoria hadn't moved on from the Carrington crash, but the rest of the world did. She had attempted handwritten messages, emails, and phone calls. I disregarded all efforts. I didn't require resolution. I had already constructed something superior. Then the last card appeared. My assistant buzzed me on a Thursday morning. Someone is here requesting to see you, Mr. Ashford, claims that it is urgent. I let out a sigh. Victoria Carrington is her name. For a minute, I gazed at the speaker. She's already inside, tell her. Victoria rushed in as I turned to face the door. But this wasn't the self-assured lady I used to know. She had smeared makeup. Her expensive coat was rumpled. She had a frantic expression. She let out a gasp. Mark. Just 5 minutes, please. I only ask that. I reclined in my seat. You have too. She blinked. Her voice broke. I was wrong. I gave up to my mother's influence. I believed I might find someone who fit the persona she created for me by trading up. However, I was mistaken. Did you empty my accounts before or after that? I asked bluntly. Her mouth quivered. I had no idea you had severed your relationship with the Carringtons. Everything fell apart when your contract withdrew. Richard has left. The home has vanished. My mom moved to Italy to reside. And me? I have nothing. I crossed my arms. You want me back now, then? She gave a nod. I am aware that I am unworthy, but you were the only person who ever made me feel important, and I found out too late. Not my cash. Not my picture. Only me. I looked at her for a long, difficult time. After that, I got up and moved toward the sideboard. Her eyes trailed after me. A glimmer of hope. I took out a folder and placed it between us on the table. I said this was the best I could do. She pulled it open. It contained a contact waiver, an application for a restraining order, and a bill for the remaining damages she had caused, now owed to my new firm for fraud, property damage, and breach of NDA. Pale, she looked up. I said icily, never get in touch with me again. You had your better man, your luxury, and your ideal appearance. On the life we created, you spat. I'm now providing you with precisely what you requested. Her knees gave way. Shaking, she collapsed into the chair. You will be let out by security. I'll file the order if you ever return here. She made one final appeal as the guards arrived. Mark, please. I still adore you. With a steely silence, I looked into her eyes. Victoria, no. You loved control. You loved money. But love, that's earned, and you threw it away. They escorted her out. As the door shut behind her, I returned to my desk. Outside the window, the skyline glowed in the morning light. A text came through from a colleague. Lunch at 1? The Tokyo investors are impressed. I replied, 1 is perfect. Let's talk expansion. Conclusion. Victoria Carrington now lives in a modest apartment on the outskirts of the city, working 2 jobs. The friends who cheered her on at that disastrous dinner? All vanished when the money did. Carrington Holdings filed for bankruptcy. Daniel Mercer, once the quiet background figure, is now CEO of one of the fastest growing logistics empires in the country. The lesson? Never underestimate the quiet ones, especially not the ones you mock at the table, because one day, they might own the table. Was this retaliation entirely warranted? Please share your thoughts on this topic in the comments section below. Similar to the narrative, if you think this story is justified, share it with someone who needs this.